You explained your involvement in the works that ACOM were involved with at Greenwich, the Greenwich Peninsula development, including the piling layout, principally the piling layout for the existing buildings, underground services, the piling layout and below groundworks for the existing buildings, underground services and the station box. Particularly the length of the piles. The length, spacing and diameter of the piles, the relationship between these. Hello, love. Hello, are you at home or are you driving home? Okay. I understand you rang up the centre this morning. Oh, Mum seemed to think you did. Oh, I wonder why she did. Anyway, as I said on the text, she got a bit upset there today because I think we're we occasionally get our wires crossed, and I noticed I haven't spoken to you about it, but I noticed you got a little bit upset at the lunch the other day. Was that as a result of sort of just a conversation with Pippa about Mum? Yeah. Well, Mum's obviously getting very sensitive about her, her not remembering things and other things, and the managing care worker had a chat with me and said I perhaps needed to be a little more the word, I can't remember the word, not considerate, but a little bit more understanding of difficulties, because Mum is, she said Mum is obviously very worried about and frightened about the onset of her condition. Anyway, I thought I was only ringing because I thought you may have called. Did you ring here this morning? Okay. Oh well, somebody rang and I the number was similar to yours, and I thought it might have been you. Anyway, well, that was it really, and she suggested that that part of the problem is, part of the issue may well be that we're living a bit too much on top of one another, and it might be a good thing for her to spend a bit more time, a couple of extra days at the centre. Do you remember Yvonne? Do you remember Caroline Pugh? That's right. Well, Caroline was in David's class. Anyway, Caroline, Yvonne's going to be Ron died about 6 months ago. Anyway, and Yvonne's coming along as a volunteer at the centre, so Mum may be switching her day to Tuesday so that she can sort of see Yvonne. So I've arranged that Mum will now go along on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I think that'd be quite a good thing. But sorry. Well, that's true. That's true. That's very true. All right. Anyway, perhaps you could ring a little later on and have a word, ring on the house phone and have a word with Mum. Okay. Just to say, I think she's a little bit, she's getting a bit confused, and I think she may have wondered why Nikki, the manager, had a special word with me, and she said she thought that she got some idea that you'd rung this morning. No, no, no. I mean, it's not. I think it's just part of the mum's confusion. Anyway, I spoke to Dan earlier on because I rang up home. I rang him up because I couldn't remember what time you actually finished work. So he seemed to be a lot better. He said, 1 minute he was feeling sick and all over the place, and the next minute he was fine. Well, it may have just. It's not just necessarily food poisoning. He may have just got a bit of. I know it's not very nice, but didn't wash his hands properly when he, after going to the loo. Nothing. I don't think anything major, but that's often the main cause of it. Why one member of the family gets the tummy bug, and everybody else doesn't. When they've all eaten the same. So you say that Ryan's a bit the same. That's unusual. I didn't notice that. I've never noticed that. Well, this is part of his cleanliness regime, is it? Right. Oh, right. Yeah, I know what you mean. It is a problem. Okay. Well, it's to say, no panic. But if you could just give a ring a little later on, and just have just that would be fine. That'd be lovely. All right. Talk to you later. Take care. All right then. Okay. Bye then. And you explained the criteria for pile spacing and pile diameter. You also made a major contribution in design on principally reducing carbon, if not the actual design of the elements themselves. You stated that you had a CSCS professional card that allowed you to carry out site visits. The reason for this was principally to assess the consequences of your detailing work, with which your reviewers were very impressed, and to provide and allowed you to, which you considered improved your, produce more workable, to ensure that more workable details were incorporated in the drawings and detailing for which you were responsible. You are a member of the London Revit user group and a specialist in 3D BIM CAD drawing work. You were responsible for planning the work of you and your team, which presently stood at 4 but could vary between 3 and 9, and described, whilst you normally had no problems in managing your team, you described a situation where one of your CAD operators was underperforming in not meeting deadlines and being unwilling to do overtime. Your approach to this was to adopt a conciliatory, a somewhat your solution to this was to adopt a somewhat conciliatory approach, whereby you found out, you ascertained if there were any domestic problems that the person was suffering from, experiencing. An unplanned incident occurred one time when you were visiting site, in which a truck was involved in a collision on site, and you had sought to call out to the driver in an attempt to stop the collision. You're aware of overtime. Your team frequently had to work overtime in order to meet deadlines, which you regarded as one of the major priorities of your team, but were conscious of the fact that overtime should not exceed 48 hours. You also explained how you dealt with your overseas outsourced offices, communicating with both the CAD operators overseas and the lead CAD operator. In so doing, you're very conscious of the different culture and how communications had to take account of the sometimes excessive willingness, the excessive positive attitude of some of the overseas members. Your company adopted a positive attitude to ethnic and gender diversity among staff, of which you were a strong supporter, and indeed were a member of the focus group that dealt with minority group issues. As far as the ICPCC is concerned, you regarded all as important, particularly not doing work, not doing work in which we're not competent without adequate supervision and guidance, and we're a strong supporter of, and you strongly supported the work of new staff. As far as your future plans were concerned, you foresaw an increasing reliance on an increasing convergence between design and detailing, with the further development of BIM, of which you wanted to play a part. You wanted to be a strong player. Your reviewers pointed out that your DAP for the current year was missing from your documentation. You undertook to make good this deficiency, and duly did so within a couple of days of the interview.